Next, on Currents News, for the first time, Pope Francis is saying millions of Muslims in Western China are victims of persecution. Projected winner Joe Biden gets the green light from the federal government to move ahead with his presidential transition. A tour of the catacombs beneath Old St. Patrick's reveals the amazing history of the Catholic Church in New York City. And why St. Francis College in Brooklyn Heights is attracting so many new students. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. For the first time, Pope Francis is calling China's Uyghurs a persecuted people. In his new book, Let Us Dream, The Path to a Better Future, the Holy Father is including the Muslim minority group in a far western region of China among a list of those facing human rights abuses. The U.S. State Department has said as many as 2 million Uyghurs have been taken to huge detention centers where former detainees have described being subjected to indoctrination, physical abuse, and sterilization. Beijing insists the camps are vocational training centers built to address the threat of religious extremism and denies allegations of widespread human rights abuses. China also dismissed the Pope's remarks as groundless. The federal government has given the go-ahead for projected presidential winner Joe Biden to move forward with his transition to the White House. Also today, Pennsylvania and Nevada certified Joe Biden's wins in those states. This as Biden publicly introduced his nominees to key national security and foreign policy posts.
They embody my core beliefs that America is strongest when it works with its allies.
Joe Biden formally introduced his foreign policy and national security teams the day after the Trump administration formally acknowledged or ascertained the presidential transition. Leading the foreign policy team, Biden has tapped longtime aide Antony Blinken as Secretary of State.
Tony's been one of my closest and most trusted advisors.
And his top messenger to governments around the globe, a move praised in diplomatic circles.
Tony Blinken was not only Deputy Secretary of State, so he truly understands how this position works, but he was also Biden's foreign policy advisor.
In addition to emphasizing experience, Biden also keeping a campaign promise to build a diverse cabinet, including Alejandro Mayorkas, a Cuban-American tapped to serve as Homeland Security Secretary, and Avril Haines, who would become the first woman to serve as intelligence chief. President Trump, meanwhile, appearing briefly before reporters Tuesday, touting the Dow's milestone, but not taking any questions.
The stock market's just broken 30,000. Never been broken, that number. That's a sacred number, 30,000. Nobody thought they'd ever see it.
President Trump has not conceded and is vowing to continue his fight for a second term in the court system. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops says at least 2 of the COVID-19 vaccines about to become available are ethically sound. A memo sent on Monday to all U.S. bishops is meant to clarify some misinformation on social media shared by some bishops. The memo says neither the vaccine produced by Pfizer nor Moderna involved the use of cell lines taken from an aborted fetus. Despite the pandemic, St. Francis College in Brooklyn Heights is seeing a record trend. Admissions are up more than 20%. This as other colleges around the nation are seeing the exact opposite. Currents News' Emily Druby reports.
Gabrielle LORA is stepping into her future. The freshman at St. Francis College is studying for a career in education.
This is a great school and I love it so much.
She's part of the largest freshman class in the history of the school. For the 2020 school year, St. Francis had 747 incoming freshmen, a 22% jump from 2019. The school is bucking a national trend. This fall, freshman enrollment dropped 13% in the U.S. Community colleges had the steepest drop-off at almost 19%. While the pandemic financial woes and learning from home is likely to blame for some of the drop, it's actually been a trend for a while. Enrollment numbers dropping 11% over the past 8 years, experts crediting more immediate limited job opportunities and the high cost of college. So how did St. Francis grow? Alumnus and Director of Recruitment Rob Oliva says it's because they got creative and personal with recruiting.
We increased our communication with students by hosting numerous virtual visit sessions, personal visits with high schools, and we were able to connect with our students in a very personal way.
That recruitment style is what drew in Gabrielle.
The president, Miguel, was able to basically talk about the core values. Something was showing me that this is a school.
Money was also at play. Many families have been struggling financially because of the pandemic. An average four-year private college in New York City cost $32,500. And while tuition at St. Francis is $26,688, an average student pays $13,500 after institutional aid and under $10,000 after the government aid kicks in too. 99% of their students get institutional aid. This year, the school even offered extra help through an emergency relief fund for students struggling from pandemic financial woes.
We were able to offer a very generous scholarship program to our students.
Former Terriers helping to create lots of new Terriers. In Brooklyn Heights, Emily Druby, Currents News.
A former New York City Mayor David Dinkins has passed away. A moment of silence held this morning at the New York Stock Exchange to honor the trailblazer who became the Big Apple's first black mayor in 1990. After one term in office, he was defeated by Rudy Giuliani in his bid for re-election. Dinkins died in his apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan after reporting difficulty breathing. This just 2 months after his wife Joyce died. Dinkins was 93. The city's economy is in turmoil as one of its most vital providers is suffering. Experts estimate that New York City tourism may not bounce back until 2025. And as the holiday season quickly approaches, hotels and restaurants across the country mourn what is normally their busiest time of the year. Vanessa Yurkovich reports.
Jesus Morales looks forward to the bustle of the holidays at Chicago's historic Drake Hotel. Customer demands and long hours are tiring, but financially rewarding.
Last year I was making good money, but it's gone. I don't know when I'm going to be back to work.
This year, there's no holiday bonus. Morales worked here for 33 years, but was furloughed in March.
My savings is gone. My under-the-pillow money is gone.
The hotel industry has lost more than 650,000 jobs during the pandemic. 4 in 10 hotel workers like Morales are still out of work. These last few months have been taxing emotionally and financially. In New York, iconic hotels are shutting their doors. The Plaza is temporarily closed, the Roosevelt permanently, and the Fitzpatrick Grand Central Hotel is running at 15% occupancy. Its sister hotel is shuttered.
What is it like to be sitting in your closed hotel right now?
It's very eerie. It is costing a lot of money to stay closed, and every month it's just drain, drain, drain. It's just in your blood. If as a hotelier, you never close your front door.
Just 25 of John Fitzpatrick's 175 employees are working. Bilal Gaila was recently called back to bartend, but he says without regular tips, his income has dropped by more than 50%.
I was out of work for almost 3 months. Also, we lost our insurance, and I have had 2 babies at home.
At the end of this year, dozens of federal protections for those out of work expire. For millions of Americans like Morales, it's not the new year he was expecting.
Since I was 17, I've been working at least 2 jobs until now. So I've been paying taxes for 46 years, trying to be the best citizen of the United States as you can. And it's just tough. It's just frustrated that the government is not doing much for the hardworking people.
Vanessa Yurkovich, New York.
There's a lot more news headed your way. A rare and amazing glimpse into the rich history of the Catholic Church deep beneath the streets of New York. And Cardinal Dolan on Thanksgiving and the one thing all Catholics can do to be grateful and thank God. Plus, Sisters on the Front Lines, the extraordinary effort by Catholic Extension and how it's helping those most in need during the pandemic.
Now you can help us put your faith in the news. The next time you capture a newsworthy event, send us your pictures or video. It's easy. Go to netny.tv/sendus and you may see your submission on Currents News.
There are many New York landmarks, the Statue of Liberty, Central Park, and of course, St. Patrick's Cathedral, just to name a few. But before the majestic church on Fifth Avenue, another St. Patrick's Cathedral stood in the heart of Old New York. And if you visit that church today, you'll find a hidden treasure underneath its pews. Currents News' Jessica Easthope gives us a tour of the catacombs.
Time stands still on Mulberry and Prince. There's a hidden secret inside this church. Many don't know there's an old St. Patrick's Cathedral, which means they definitely don't know about what lies beneath.
The tradition started during the Roman Empire, where Catholics couldn't afford burial, so Catholic property owners decided to burrow tunnels underneath their very own properties.
These are the catacombs, the crypts under the now Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral, first built in 1815. Historical figures lie in coffins hermetically sealed within the walls.
Probably the most famous family down here are the Delmonicos.
The details of their lives and deaths now sealed in Tommy Wilkinson's mind.
In this country, they're very reverent places of burial. Usually you'll find trustees and benefactors, so the early families that literally supported the church. You have to understand, these were the wealthy.
Wilkinson is the tour director of Tommy's New York. The catacombs are where he spends his days, walking back and forth, giving tours above and below 7 days a week.
This is really an untapped gem that I've been blessed with the opportunity to share with the world.
There's a grand total of 1,100 Catholics.
The tours help sustain the church financially.
Every parish has to stand on its own legs. I don't think that we're truly at risk because of all of these special things that make this church so historic. Definitely the tours have become a very important part of sustaining the church.
Wilkinson's keys unlock a lot of doors. Each one opens a new opportunity to connect with the lost history of New York City and the Catholic Church.
There's also an evangelizing process. People reconnecting with their faith, people wanting to delve more into their Catholicism, people become parishioners.
Wilkinson experienced that same reconnection.
It connects the heavens to the earth.
He strayed from the church, but deep within the catacombs, he found faith again.
I became a parishioner the very day I signed that contract, being a Catholic myself, and just recognizing the importance of what I've been given here. It was more than just luck. This has certainly re-anchored me in my faith here. This means everything to me.
Bishops, priests, politicians, and even the man who introduced Italian opera to the United States are all buried down here in the catacombs. The best part, you could be buried with them.
It's the only active Catholic cemetery here in Manhattan. So imagine you can choose a niche right down here in the catacombs where you're going to become a part of history. He becomes a very close and personal friend of Abraham Lincoln.
Surrounded by the walls of the final resting place, each person feels something different during the 90-minute experience. But when all the lights go out, history comes alive. In Manhattan, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Taking a hands-on approach to helping families in need, Cardinal Timothy Dolan gave out 500 turkeys in Harlem on Tuesday.
You ready for Thursday?
Just in time for Thanksgiving, His Eminence and Catholic Charities took to the Lieutenant Joseph P. Kennedy Community Center and provided around 20,000 pounds of food. Catholic Charities will give away 1,000 turkeys this Thanksgiving season. Cardinal Dolan also showing us how our faith can tie into the secular holiday as he delivers this online message.
The very word Eucharist, and that's kind of the formal word we use for Mass, the very word Eucharist, you probably know, comes from the Greek word for thanksgiving. Eucharist means thanksgiving. So the greatest way to thank and praise Almighty God is when we worthily and faithfully, reverently and joyfully participate in the holy sacrifice of the Mass, especially on Sunday.
Cardinal Dolanc says the most important aspect of Thanksgiving is not about what we're eating or where we are, but about showing gratitude. This holiday season will be different for all of us, but for some who have lost loved ones, their health, or their jobs during this pandemic, it will be really difficult. But thanks to Catholic Extension, which is putting $1,000 in the hands of 1,000 nuns, those most in need are being helped. Joe Boland, Vice President of Mission at Catholic Extension, joins us now to tell us about the Sisters on the Front Lines initiative. And Joe, I love this. So basically, each nun gets $1,000 to spend how they see fit. Give us a couple of the examples of how some of the nuns have spent their money so far.
It's so powerful to see the stories that are coming back about how they're impacting people's lives. And, one that really sticks out in my mind is a woman who was 80 years old working in a fruit packing plant in California. And she lost her job as a consequence of the pandemic and the economic downturn. And the reason why that was so problematic is because this 80-year-old woman is taking care of 2 grown sons, both of whom are completely disabled and completely dependent on her. And so she was in this dire situation when a wonderful sister, showed up at her door and delivered much needed assistance to her. And so that's the type of thing we're seeing. I remember another man in Arkansas. He had just lost sight in both of his eyes. He lost his job. He's an immigrant man, had lost his job cleaning houses. And so he had no means of income to support his family, also completely dependent on him. And again, in a similar situation, a sister came with funds in hand to be able to help them. And so these are the very powerful experiences and stories that we're witnessing.
Yeah, really amazing. And you shared a great story with us earlier about a nun who gave money to a family in San Antonio. The mom of 4 is fighting cancer.
Definitely during, this time with COVID and with my wife's cancer diagnosis, this is definitely going to help us out a lot.
Yeah, they obviously really appreciate the help. I also want to show a clip of one of the sisters who talks about how she spent her money. Let's take a listen.
Family who is tested COVID positive now can buy the cleaning equipment that they need. Someone can use the gas to get to the hospital. A car that is broken down got fixed. These are the emergency needs and the little miracles that have helped sustain us, and I want to say thank you.
Yeah, it seems like the nuns are just as happy to give as the people are to receive. So how do you choose the nuns for the initiative, and why nuns?
Exactly. It's exactly that. Sisters who are missionaries are on the front lines already. And so they're experiencing this pandemic not through statistics and data, but they're seeing faces and families, and they know the people who are hurting. And so the very reason we chose to work with sisters is because they made our job so easy. Get the money to the sisters, and the sisters will get the money to those who need it the most. And they're doing just that. When they receive the funds, they have a mandate to turn the funds around in 30 days or less, and many of them do it within a matter of minutes, if not hours.
Wow. And I know $1,000 for 1,000 nuns, that's $1 million. How much of that have you raised so far? How many nuns have received their money, and how many are waiting?
Yeah, so we're about halfway towards our goal. About 500 sisters have participated. They represent 150 different missionary congregations working here, mostly in the United States and in its territories. And we have a wait list of 500 sisters more, and we're actively fundraising for this. Encourage anybody who is interested in supporting it to do just that, knowing that these funds will not only end up in the hands of our sisters, but also to support families and communities that are very much in need at this time.
Absolutely, a wonderful initiative. Joe Boland, VP of Mission at Catholic Extension, thanks for being here and telling us about it. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
And if you'd like to donate to the Sisters on the Front Lines, just head to CatholicExtension.org. The information is right there on the homepage. Still to come on Currents News, there are many gelato shops in Rome, but there's one particular sweet spot that means so much to Pope Francis. We'll tell you why. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. Pope Francis sat down this week with 5 NBA players to talk about social and economic injustices. His Holiness reached out to the Players Association in hopes of discussing their work on different social initiatives. The meeting comes during a year when athletes in the U.S. and around the world use their platform to address injustices. And speaking of the Pope, who knew? He has a sweet tooth. His favorite gelato shop is right near the Vatican. And Christian Campos tells us about the special connection between Pope Francis and the shop's owner.
In Rome, you can come across an ice cream shop in almost every corner of the city. However, there's one particular gelateria that stands out in a neighborhood near the Vatican. They are different because I make a very traditional ice cream without additives, as it was done many years ago. This is Sebastián Padrón, an Argentinian from La Plata who opened Padrón Gelateria Artigianale near St. Peter's Square. He offers traditional Argentinian flavors, artisanal methods of production, and even traditional pastries and Argentinian products. We have many Argentinian customers, many Latin American clients, and well, even a very special customer. He is referring to his favorite customer and the most famous Argentinian among his clients, the one and only Pope Francis. Since their grand opening, Sebastián has served several Vatican staff members and priests that eventually convinced the Pope to taste his products. Pope Francis was so pleased that he sent him a personal thank you letter, a medallion, and this certificate as a symbol of his appreciation. He says that the Pope's favorite ice cream flavor is undoubtedly Argentinians' favorite, dulce de leche, an ingredient he proudly imports from his native country. Last week, Sebastián and his family received a very unexpected surprise. Last week, we received a surprise. It was a phone call to thank us for the service that we have with him, for the ice cream and empanadas that we brought him as a gift. He told us if we wanted to meet him, and so we did. Sebastián and his family were invited to personally meet the Pope in Santa Marta in the Vatican. There, they talked and exchanged gifts. Sebastián says that the attention he gave them, especially to his children, was very touching. A very simple person, very humble and kind. The thing that moved us the most was when he made a gesture with his head saying that being with us and talking to us made him feel like a neighbor, like feeling like home. Sebastián's hard work and perseverance throughout the years has undoubtedly produced many rewards. He says the most important one has been being able to serve and meet the Argentinian pontiff, that grandfather-like neighbor that he makes him feel at home.
Again, that was Christian Campos reporting. Other gelato shops try to make the Pope's favorite flavor, dulce de leche, using a caramel-based paste, but apparently there's nothing quite like the sweet milk flown in from Argentina. Yum. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.